Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Um, this is not officially the start of our show, but I do want to just let you know that my name is Portia Laiwola. I'll be your host for the afternoon as we hold these artists and young people in our hands for this celebratory afternoon, evening mark of 2 years. But before we begin, I first want to do a land acknowledgement and also say Happy Black History Month. We are on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Massachusetts people and the neighboring Wampanoag Nation. We pay respect to the Massachusetts elders past and present. We acknowledge the truth of violence perpetuated in the name of this country and make a commitment to uncovering that truth. We make this acknowledgement as a step toward dismantling the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism, and as a commitment to social justice. We also acknowledge and trace this country's modern existence to the historical enslavement of Black and African people. We recognize that the genocide of indigenous people occurred conjuncturally and alongside the enslavement of Africans in the name of this country's birth. We make this acknowledgement as a step toward dismantling these ongoing legacies. Before the poets have a chance to read, this afternoon I want to introduce you to an artist, poet, rock star, who's just a dynamic grace here in the city of Boston. Gogh is an African folklore performing artist, author, and entrepreneur. Gogh's style of call and response has reimagined poetry and storytelling as a way to include the audience in an experience to challenge, inspire, and encourage the self beyond traditional forms, right? So you might do a little bit of call and response with Gogh this afternoon. She began performing through slam poetry and now curates throughout the city of Boston, and more specifically with the Black Cotton Club. She also teaches in Boston at various institutions and organizations. Born in Italy to Ghanaian parents, but raised in North Carolina, she has immersed herself in merging cultures from the South to Ghanaian culture. She identifies as a vessel chosen to deliver a message through writing, performance, and community organizing. Her debut poetry collection, For Girls Who Cry in Yellow, explores the healing process through the perspective of an African woman. Gogh has been nominated twice for the Boston Music Awards, and Gogh's debut album, EP, entitled Bushwoman, was released in April 2020. Gogh is an amazing writer, artist, performer, actress. I've had the pleasure of working with her in so many different capacities, and each time I learn something new about art, about love for organizing, but most importantly about myself. And I know she's gonna take you on a journey this afternoon. So y'all, it's not that many of us, but we should fill this room with love. Please show some love. Start clapping right now. Show some love. Give it up for Gogh.
Hello, everyone. Let's try that again. Hello, everyone. All right. So I need some energy, okay? So I grew up in a Black church, and when you feel it, you say, Can y'all say, Okay, and if you relate to it, you say, you go ahead. Okay, or you say, take your time. Take your time, and if you're really feeling nasty, you say, yeah, okay? And you wave your hand like this, okay? And do an ugly stank face under your mask. That's what you do. All right, so I am so happy and honored to be here in front of all of you. The gifts that you offer to this world through your words are needed, are important. And so my offering to everyone in this space, but more specifically to you all, is that I'm gonna take you on this journey first, and then we'll talk about what the offering really is. Maybe you give it language, but I have an offering for you, all right? So if we can everyone just kind of close their eyes? Not kind of, because there's no way to kind of close your eyes, you just do it. So close your eyes, please. And so I'm gonna start humming, and I'll invite you to hum with me. This requires no skill, no talent. All that it is that you have a mouth and you hum. And there are some vocal cords in there, so I know that it is going to be added to the space and needed. So, all right, close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath in through our nose and release it through our mouth. Can you hum with me? Louder. Yeah. You could keep humming. Come on, let's do it. Yeah. Ah. My cousin just passed. She tells me that my cousin just drowned. Tells me that I cannot tell his mother, my auntie. Tells me that because she is pregnant, they are scared for what may happen to the baby. But morning comes, and nighttime goes, and my kaka is getting dressed for the funeral. She tells me I cannot come. Tells me that I must stay to console my auntie, and I look at her with confusion. Ask her why a mother isn't attending her own child's funeral, and she looks at me and she says, in our culture, a pregnant mother isn't allowed to attend a funeral. And because I overthink, I began to think about when we are pregnant with dreams, how we must be very sacred to those things, how we must not hang around dead places, dead people, or dead things, how we must be very protective to the seed that has been buried within us. Sometimes if we don't know the words, we hum. And the people spin too. They spin too. And world goes round and round and round and round. And it's not normal, but people have made it normal. So they spin too. And they spin and they spin and then spin. And then something happens. Something drastic happens. People get sick. People start to realize that they can't operate off spin. And yet they still spin. Then one day, people yell, stop. I think they're starting to recognize that they can't operate off spin. But the world is turning again. 2 years, the world is spinning again. And people are starting to spin too. Oh yes, I hear y'all still humming. Once again, I'm really happy to be here. I started off writing poetry, and one of the essence of writing poetry is I learned to find my voice. I was a very shy kid, and poetry gave me a place to be seen and be heard. So it is a wonder to be here and to hear your poetry and for you to offer this gift to us. So thank you. The next piece that I want to do is a very experimental piece, and it's not released anywhere, but is anyone a fan of Lovecraft? Lovecraft? Okay, got a couple of folks, all right. So there is this question that one of the main characters is asked, and I'm going to pose that question to you. And so the question that the main character is asked is, who are you uninterrupted? And so I thought I would write a song answering it, but still asking myself, who am I uninterrupted? So I have my notebook here, and I'm gonna read off my notebook, but also pose that question to you. So as you are hearing this, I want you to really ask yourself, who are you uninterrupted? Even if you don't have an answer, at least ask yourself, all right? Can I get a yeah? All right, remember I said feedback, okay? Amen, Ashe will do. And just so y'all know, this is a loop station here, so if you hear extra voices, it's coming through this beautiful station here. All right. Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted?
Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you afraid?
Are you at war? Are you at peace? Are you at rage? Are you dancing? Are you moving? Are you in love? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you at peace? Are you resting? Are you in love? Are you moving? Are you dancing? Are you sleeping? Are you at rage? Are you angry? Are you happy? Are you at joy? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you at peace? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you resting? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you moving? Are you dancing? Who are you sleeping? Are you at rage? Are you angry? So I once took a trip from South Carolina to North Carolina. Who are you uninterrupted? And on this trip, as I was driving, are you resting? I see a field. Are you in love? And this field is beautiful grass. Are you dancing? And there's this beautiful fence that goes beyond. Are you at rage? Are you angry? And then in the corner, I see cows. Are you at joy? And I wonder how these cows have this abundance of field, and yet they stand in the corner. Are you in love? Are you just like that? Are you dancing? The question was then posed to me. Are you at rage? How do you have this abundance of field and yet you stay in the corner? Are you at joy? Who are you? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you at peace? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you resting? Are you in love? Are you moving? Are you dancing? Who are you? Are you sleeping? Are you at rage? Are you angry? Who are you? Are you happy? Are you at joy? When is the last time you played? Are you uninterrupted? I play pretend often, creating worlds where dark-skinned black women are you moving? Are the star? Are you dancing? And they don't come from trauma. Are you sleeping? They don't worry. They don't save anyone. Are you angry? Themselves. Are you happy? Are you at joy? I played in fire once. Who are you? Watched my mother yell, "Do it again." Are you at peace? Are you? Why were you ever there in the first place? Are you in love? I played with God a couple of times. Are you dancing? Showed me the abundance of love and liberation only if I chose it. Are you happy? Only if I chose it. Are you at joy? I played with my sister over the summer. Are you at peace? and danced
Are you
and
resting?
talked about boys
Are you
and
in
dreams
love?
and goals?
Are you moving?
Are you dancing?
I played small once.
Are you sleeping?
Watched myself
Are you
shrink into the
enraged?
size
Are
of
you
a mustard seed
angry?
and convince myself
you
that it was
happy?
fake.
Are you
Watched
at
me
joy?
crumble to fit the comfort
Who
of others
are
and
you?
make it to live comfortably.
Are you at peace?
I vowed to never
Are you
do that
resting?
again.
Are you in love?
I have a couple of questions
Are you
for
moving?
God.
Are you dancing?
Am I doing your
Are
will?
you sleeping?
Why is
Are
it
you
that
at
I am still
rage?
here?
Are you angry?
What are you teaching me
Are
in
you
this
happy?
season?
Are
Do
you
I have to
at joy?
prove it to receive it?
Who are you?
Are you really in favor of my own choosing?
Are you at peace?
Who decides
Are you
or
resting?
me?
Are you in love?
Am I under a test?
Are you moving? Are you
Am I
dancing?
under a test?
Are you sleeping?
Who are you uninterrupted?
Are you at rage? Are
Who
you
are
angry?
you uninterrupted?
Are you happy?
Who are you
Are you at
uninterrupted?
joy?
Who
Who
are you uninterrupted?
Thank you. 10 minutes? One more. Oh, okay. Sorry, wait, 2 minutes? 1 minute? 2 to 3. All right, I do have one more. Are y'all ready to perform with me again? Okay, I see a lot of head nods. Beautiful. Who are you? Okay. All right, so this is another humming piece. I hum a lot, okay? I also can hold only one note, so humming helps me kind of just be able to perform and perform freely. All right, so the next one is a meditation track. And I created it, I imagine a lot, I overthink a lot, and I create worlds in my head a lot. And so I talk to nature, and nature talks to me. So I'm going to take you on this journey. I'm going to ask that you sing. I'm going to tell you what to sing, and then you sing with me. Is that all right? All right, beautiful. I mean, even if you said no, I'm going to still. Okay. Y'all ready to hum with me? All right, here we go. Yeah. Can you sing with me? Can you hum with me? Let me hear it real big. Come on, let's go. Yeah. I walked up to a tree and asked the tree for wisdom. And the tree stretched its branches and looked at me and smiled. And the tree looked at me and said these words. It said, "Your wisdom will be when you say I do not know." I'll say that again. It said, "Your wisdom will be when you say I do not know." And said, "Your beauty will be when you say my name is Gogh." I'll say that again. Your beauty will be when you say my name is Gogh. What is your name? Okay, y'all didn't, okay, one more time. I said, your beauty will be when you say my name is, what is your name? What is your name? Beautiful. Your beauty will be when you say my name is what? Beautiful. And your being will be when you say I am. All right, so I'm gonna ask that you repeat these words in an affirmation. I know that we all have some form of relationship to affirmations. Maybe we say them, maybe we don't know what they are quite yet, but we're familiar with them. And so in these affirmations, what I want you to say is I am free, I am here, I am love, and I am being. And we'll sing that together, and I'll do it, and y'all repeat, okay? Y'all like that? Okay, can I get a little head nod? Yeah, come on. All right, so we're going to start with I am here, and you're going to sing it like this. You're going to say, I am here. Can y'all do that? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, quiet, go. A little louder, because we are all here, right? Let's sing it. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so you're going to now say, I am free. Sing it. Here we go. Go. Say it like you mean it. Come on. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Yeah, yeah. Come on. Hey. All right, say, I am here. Sing it real big. Come on. Yeah. 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 Here. And you're going to say, I am being. Here we go. Y'all sound beautiful. Come on. Last time, you're going to make it real big. I am here. Let's hello. 1, 2. Yeah. Yeah. Can y'all give yourselves a round of applause? Thank you so much. It is quite an honor to be here. I'm looking forward to hearing the poetry and the words of these beautiful, beautiful humans sitting in front of me. So thank you again. Y'all stay blessed.
Hey everybody, let's give it up one more time for Gogh and for Portia. Hey everybody, I'm David Leonard. I'm president of the Boston Public Library, and I'm just going to add my words of welcome and greeting to all of you who are here with us in person and those of you joining us online as well. This is one of our first hybrid events of the last 2 years, and it's so good to see so many people here at the Boston Public Library in person as well. So thank you for being here. And thank you, Portia, for your land acknowledgement on our behalf, but also for recognizing that we are in Black History Month. Today, we are celebrating the library as platform for the expression of word as we speak to mind, to soul, and to heart. The Boston Youth Poet Laureate program began in 2019 with its inaugural Youth Poet Laureate, Alondra Bobadillia, who we will be hearing from a bit later. It is sponsored by the Boston Public Library, the City of Boston, Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, 826 Boston, Mass Leap, and Urban Word New York. The Poet Laureate position is a 2-year position, works directly with all of these partner organizations in a public, visible, and respected way. The winner receives a stipend from the library, develops and implements a number of programs during their tenure, and they will write and publish a book, and that book will be available in all of the 26 BPL locations for everyone to check out. We are here today to celebrate the work of our finalists in the showcase of their talents for this year. And we will find out a bit later who the next Boston Youth Poet Laureate is. The library would like to acknowledge the partners, the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, support of this program from the Chief of Arts and Culture, Cara Elliott Ortega, and Tom Johnson from Partnerships and Events in that office. The Boston Poet Laureate, Portia Oleawa, and 826 Boston Director of Youth Writing Program Innovation and Partnerships, Nakia Hill. Alex Charalambides, Managing Director for Mass Leap, that's the Massachusetts Literary Education and Performance Collective, and our own Jess Snow, Assistant Manager of Youth Services for the Boston Public Library. Please give them all a round of applause just at once. Now, at its core, the library celebrates the written word, the spoken word, and all things literary. We often speak about how youth are the future, and I hope based upon today's experience, you'll agree that you, our young people, are very much our present as well as our future. Congratulations to Alondra, to all of the participants, and to the individual who will be named a bit later today as the next Boston Youth Poet Laureate. You stand on the shoulders of and follow in the footsteps of William Shakespeare, Edward Lear, Maya Angelou, Amanda Gorman, Portia, and Alondra. Welcome. Thank you for being here and supporting this program. And I would now like to welcome to the podium Cara Elliott Ortega, Chief of Arts and Culture in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture.
Thanks, David, and hi, everyone. And I just want to start by adding my thanks to all of the partners involved in this, David Leonard and the Boston Public Library, Portia Olaiwola, who we're going to thank a million times today because none of this is possible without your support, 826 Boston, Mass Sleep, Urban Word, and Grub Street for just working on this and helping to make it a reality. We're so excited today to welcome our second ever Youth Poet Laureate to the city of Boston. 2 years ago, we celebrated Alondra Bobadillia becoming Boston's inaugural Youth Poet Laureate right here in Rab Hall. And it's crazy that that was 2 years ago and that her time in this role is coming to an end. Alondra had 2 months of being Youth Poet Laureate before the pandemic hit. And despite unbelievable challenges that brought, she remained committed to engaging Boston's communities and using her poetry to uplift residents, encourage them to express themselves creatively, and to stay inspired throughout just a really challenging time for everyone. Her use of poetry and spoken word to address topics like mental health, racial equity, just really connecting with people, even through virtual events and working with City Councilor's office, working with our office in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, has just been really amazing, really impactful, and so needed, especially connecting with other young people during a time when young people were struggling to be connected with reality and have agency and creativity. And it's really highlighted for us, I think, as the inaugural Youth Poet Laureate, how crucial it is to continue to center youth voice throughout the city, throughout our work, throughout all of the work that the city does. So thank you, Alondra, for really setting the bar high and for bringing so much to this program over the past 2 years. We'll give you a round of applause. A major part of what makes this program so successful is the leadership of our Poet Laureate, Portia Olaiwola. In addition to mentoring the Youth Poet Laureate, she also works with them to create opportunities for people in all neighborhoods and of all ages, all experience levels, to create and enjoy poetry and creativity together. Together, they generate a greater citywide appreciation for poetry and spoken word that spans all ages and backgrounds. I look forward to seeing our new Youth Poet Laureate join Portia as an advocate for the power of the arts, poetry, and spoken word. And now I'll welcome back Portia to the stage.
I think I've actually been up here already one too many times. So I won't stay up here too long, but I did write, when I was writing this agenda, an occasional poem, if you will, which is just one that speaks to the occasion, right? One that speaks to what's happening. And I wanted to read this poem in particular, which is not the occasion I thought I would be writing about or reading about. This poem is by a Ukrainian poet who was born in a city, I think Odessa, when it was under the Soviet Union, and lives in New York, Ilya Kaminsky. And this is called "We Lived Happily During the War." And when they bombed other people's houses, we protested, but not enough. We opposed them, but not enough. I was in my bed. Around my bed, America was falling. Invisible house by invisible house by invisible house. I took a chair outside and watched the sun. In the 6th month of a disastrous reign, in the house of money, in the street of money, in the city of money, in the country of money, our great country of money, we, forgive us, lived happily during the war. I just wanted to read that poem to just be reminded of where we are and what we are experiencing, and also just to remind myself of why I do this work and why we are here, right? fostering, nurturing, celebrating youth poets, and the power of poetry and the work that poetry can do, and how these poems that they read for us today will last forever and speak to many different occasions. So thank you for gathering with us under many suns, all of the suns that we're existing under. Folks have already thanked all of the organizations that have been a part of the Youth Poet Laureate program. They told you a little bit about the history. All I can tell you about is, I suppose, the heart and the way in which the program came to be, right? I've had the pleasure of being the Poet Laureate for about 3 years, and immediately I knew I wanted to have some kind of Youth Poet Laureate program. I know there have been folks working to have that program for years, right? Which is to say, there are people who have been working on this, and I'm not like just the first person, right? And in addition to that, there are so many people who are working alongside me. Cara said that this wouldn't be possible without me, but in truth, it wouldn't be possible without Tom Johnston, Jess Snow. Feel free to show them some love. But truly, both of the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, which is, the organization which Tom works for, has been a pillar in both my position as well as Alondra's position, and the same is true for the Boston Public Library, and more specifically Teen Central, right, who's offered stipends, workshops, an office space for the Youth Poet Laureate program, in addition to Alex Harlem Beatty's at Mass Sleep, and Nakia Hill at 826 Boston. I just want to say thank you, although all of them are not with us today. Yeah, you guys that's super generous of you. I also want to show some love and give some thank you to our selection committee, right? Like the folks who were in the room selecting some of these poets, the top 10 poets. I don't know about y'all. I don't know if you guys know what the application process is like, but when I applied to be the laureate for the city, it was very difficult. It was hard. There was an application. There were like a little manuscript of poems that had to be submitted. But I think outside of the application process, and maybe you guys can speak to this, is the interview process, which is the most intimidating thing I've ever. You have to go down to City Hall. You have to be dressed up. You get in a room, and there are like 20 people and you in a room. And I nearly cried during my interview. And so I can only imagine what y'all felt coming into City Hall and having that interview process, and then seeing some people that you really admire. But all of you all held your own extremely well. I feel very proud, though I have no role in your shaping. I feel extremely proud to know you all, to have you all in this city, to be living and thriving and writing in this city and with each other. So super excited. Really quick thank you to our selection committee who is there all day at City Hall with these poets. Faruka Abazitz, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Kaylani Vincenti. Jonathan Rowe, Duran West, and Alondra Bobadillia, who was also in the room. Those folks really are all of the ones who made this possible. And then now I'll do what I said I was going to do, which is like really just get out of your way so we can hear from some incredible youth poets. But first, I just want to tell you tell all of you all that I am so honored to have been able to work with Alondra for these last 2 years. She's just an incredible human being. I'm like really ridiculous. I'm super unorganized. I'm like kind of all over the place. And she's mentored me, you all. Truthfully, no. But she's an incredible writer, incredible performer, so gentle, and I don't know, the way in which you just approach the world is with such care and intent. I think that is the thing I'm probably grasping and learning from you almost constantly. She has done tremendous amount of work. Sometimes I say these things and I can't believe it, but she's been writing poems on behalf of the Celtics. She wrote an opera I don't know how many folks have done that, but she wrote an opera, she wrote a book, she's been leading workshops, she has been working with city council members, really just using poetry to do the work of young people, and on behalf, really truly on behalf of herself. So it's been incredible to get to know you. And to continue to know you, and thank you for mentoring me. You know, I will pay you back for lunch. No, I'm just kidding. I want to introduce Alondra Bobadillia, who was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. Alondra found and nurtured her love for writing since she learned her first letters. Alondra uses her writing to highlight social issues that impact her and her community. Through her own work, she demonstrates how creative expression can be a powerful tool for youth to examine feelings around issues, find their voice, speak up about the changes they want to see for their future. You should have heard her interview process, by the way. She did a 8-minute poem and kind of just told the city about the city. Alondra Bobadillia is the author of a poetry book entitled With Clipped Wings, which I believe is here for sale today. And the book was published in June 2021. Alondra is Boston's inaugural Youth Poet Laureate. Please show some love for a woman who is literally paving the way for us all. Give it up for Alondra.
Hi, everyone. Oh, my goodness. So I'll try not to take up too much of your time because I really just want to hear these amazing young poets read, and I'm sure that you guys do too. So I want to give them a quick round of applause just for being amazing and for being here. I second everything that Portia said. You guys are amazing. You really held your own throughout this entire process, the things that we got to see in that room and the things that we didn't get to see before and after. And you should be proud of yourselves. So I'm going to be reading a quick poem for you guys and talking just briefly about my experience in these past 2 years. But before I do that, those who know me as a poet and who know me as a person know that I never like to shy away from recognizing, where we are, what's going on, what's happening around us. So in light of everything that we know that is happening in Ukraine, in light of what we see in the nations every single day, in light of what happens every single day in this country, I want to remind you all that empathy is the fruit of those that have not allowed their heart to grow cold. And that during this time, we should try our hardest not to turn a blind eye out of fear or out of, there's nothing that we can do. Apathy is an act of violence, and neglect is the fruit of the bystander. And being a bystander is just as bad as those who actively and proactively oppress and promote any other kinds of violence. So in your capacity, and if you haven't already, stay informed as much as you can, and offer your empathy if that's all that you can do. So the poem that I'm going to be reading today is a poem that I wrote, 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago? I don't really know. But I love this poem. I love this poem so much because I think it speaks to so many people that I've met in the city over all the years that I've lived here, as if though I've lived that long and I haven't. And I also dedicate it to you, the young poets today, because this is how I see you. And it's entitled, When Caged Birds Fly. Even in the city, caged birds fly. Wings slicing through marijuana clouds, weaving through bullets, resting on broken bones. They sing over sirens and bellow over empty boasts. Whistles are signals of hope when the morning sun aches to rise over vicious cycles. It's the same day, every day. For those who lost their brothers, their eyes are open, but all they see is red, and their ears are tuned to the same song of birds singing over bodies. Everybody in the city wears stories, walking murals, they move in patterns, never in the same place. And if they are, the wise make themselves shadows, and the weak are mouths that mutter things about money and vengeance and sets and baby mamas and regret and the stench of Henny lingering in the words that struggle to hold a note upon fumbling out of their lips. Stories being told through the voice of their chains, clashing against their chests, and their hips dance to a music no one outside of the city walls can hear. They whisper, but some of them scream. They've been robbed, and their voices can be heard clamoring in the streets. And on the corner, the brave of them mumble something about restorative justice. Cycle breakers, they call them, the ones that get patted on the back for making it out, but they always funnel their way through. They throw out words that the generations have never heard before. They say, you got to take care of the health of the mind, as if you needed to go to the doctors for anything but the body. They say you can't use violence to solve your problems, and grief is one of many diseases. They didn't know sadness could be sickness. They say mamas shouldn't choose their boyfriends over their sons. They say good fathers don't run and good people don't shoot down dreams. They say there's another way out of here. We just got to pave it. And the crowds stop listening. But they stay preaching on the block anyways, dusk till dawn, about a heaven and a life that never ends, a life beyond the circles. In the middle of hell, they preach Jesus. They call them crazy because they lead circles, protests, and movements. Waves of them are birthing up out of ashes, and their faith in a tomorrow are the centerpiece from which they are anchored. They find refuge in the lines carved out on bricks complexes. Their existence is a complex, and the city is a bubble, buildings blocking vision beyond tragedy and submission to the vicious cycles. That the sun aches to rise over every morning, the birds whistle. And the song has become one with the dissonance of bullets hitting bodies and ricocheting through the wind, echoing behind the melody of the caged birds. That even in the city, they fly. So I was the Youth Poet Laureate for 2 years. I am so tired of that. I was the Youth Poet Laureate for 2 years. 2 years that I cherished, 2 years that were very difficult for all of us in so many different ways, and 2 years where I learned so much about myself, so much about my city, and I learned so much from the people that helped me and supported me throughout that entire time, who was Portia Olaiwola and Tom Johnston and Jess Snow, and Nakia Hill, who I love very much, and a bunch of people that are not here right now, who along the way in many different ways planted these little seeds of encouragement that maybe they think we're not that big of a deal, but I remember those words and I let them kind of ring in my mind whenever I forget who I am and where I stand and where I'm going next. And so I got to do all kinds of awesome things, and I wrote more poems than I thought humanly possible about topics that I never thought I would ever have to write about, and that I didn't think I had the capacity to write about. My style of writing was pushed tremendously. I went from, catching inspiration on the train from whatever I saw and writing 15 minutes in the bathroom corner, sidewalk, wherever I was at kind of frantically, to having to go places and study and analyze. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. But it completely expanded me. It expanded me as a person. It expanded my vocabulary. It expanded my craft. It expanded my connection with people in this city, which was the most important thing for me. Because I saw this role as an opportunity to connect with the city and to bring the city together, especially young people more specifically, but everyone in general to some capacity or another, through what I love and what I do best, which is poetry. And I was scared and I didn't know what that would look like. And I'm like, I say too many crazy things that probably people don't want to listen to. And I get nervous when I get on stage, and as I stand here now, I'm a little bit shaky. I'm like, I don't know, this is crazy. I'm like, but this is amazing. And I took advantage of every single opportunity to just learn and soak in to really just learn and soak in and expand and to give out of what I had as well. And I'm a strong believer that all of us have something to give out of what we have, and that if we're not giving it, we should, because somebody needs it. So, without further ado, we're gonna get on to listening to these amazing youth poets read. And the first poet that we're going to hear from today is a Fenway High School student, as myself, published essayist, and his intent is to celebrate his community. Let's give a huge warm welcome to Fernando Medina.
Hello. So this first one is a little personal one, but I thought it would be good to share it and say it out loud. So I'll be sharing two poems. This first one is titled Prepaid Call. So here we go. I answer, because who else can I relate to? I answer is where I repeat to liberate myself from past pains. I answer where I sit in the cold, allowing myself to marinate in these emotions of mine. I answer when my mind is aloft. I answer why at times I just might need you the most. Call me for a sense of familiarity. Call me when confined in solidarity. Call me for what troubles have you caused. Can you hear me? Because sometimes the lies are easier to handle than the truth. Like dancing in the rain, we smile, believing a rainbow is to come. It often starts off as simple drops, then build to a river of sorrow that penetrates into our bones and through the marrow, resulting in a cascade that deluges the fire within me. So I allow the drops to cleanse me of those past pains. So for once the vibrations sirens produce and the echoes of people asking questions can no longer reach my ears, then I could speak in the past tense of the realities we each perceive. Can you hear me as something seems to prohibit you from seeing through my eyes as I look straight towards you? Can you hear me as I adjust my mask? I pray one day you'll see right through it, furthering you to medicate as I subside. So answer when I call, because who else can you relate to? That was the first one. The second one, I feel like the title gives it enough explanation. So the title of the second one is called Unity. Here we go. My block, my walk, my talk, oftentimes mimicked by those who can never relate to the struggle, oftentimes mimicked by those who forsake the physical, never bothering to acknowledge the eternal, for the flesh is more valuable, and the spirit remains priceless. The spirit that has kept us equable and grounded, the spirit that moved from my grandmother's hips to the beat of the drums, the spirit that flushed my grandfather with the urgency for freedom, the spirit that carried my ancestors here, all of which has kept my back straight and head high through tragedy, all of which cannot be taken nor be mimicked. My block, my walk, my talk, a new page turned with bookmarks to honor and remember those who've provided me guidance in times of uncertainty, a helping hand lent in times of despair, an acquaintance shown while others remain in silence. My village may neither be the safest nor the richest, yet provides me with something as rare as diamonds, love. True unconditional love, expressed physically rather than verbally, because the word is just thrown around like a hot potato, but true love that will instill strength, but true love that will cause one's blood to flow. True love that's instinct from within rather than a broad statement. True love that reassures us, no matter how many of those who may find it obscure, that we still hold hope with withered hands, will be the same to find it too dangerous to take a tour where we have grown. My community that has instilled in me and my peers to vindicate yourself from being uprooted, to give what we get, and to teach what we have learned, all of which cannot be taken nor be mimicked, all of which has come from my block, my walk, and my talk. Thank you.
It's never easy being the first to go, and we just saw two inaugural poets up here, one opening us up, and then also Alondra. I want to try something really quickly, show some love for Fernando. There's this saying, this call and response in the youth spoken word community that goes, "I love you, poet." And then the audience responds, "I ain't never gonna stop loving you, poet." You guys want to try it real quick? I love you, poet. I ain't never gonna stop loving you, poet. Okay. I couldn't hear everybody because I was screaming, but we're gonna try it as we move through this event and through these poets. Thank you so much for that first poem. Coming up next, this particular poet writer is a student at Boston Latin School, excuse me. This person is a dance instructor at West Roxbury School of Dance. And this poet uses poetry as a way to tell stories. Show some love for Ash Albert.
All right, my first poem today is a poem that I wrote after being invited to speak at a virtual open mic at my school, and it talks about my anxiety surrounding someone wanting to acknowledge my words out loud and to an audience. And it is called At the Open Mic. I am not a poet. A short collection of poems, AA. These are a few I penned in the dead of night, or maybe it was 8 p.m. I wouldn't know. I don't care. I am not a poet. But I speak tonight at an open mic, and I swear I'll lose my head. Who am I to tell a crowd that my art is worth their time, as if it is art at all? It is a page of words that flow from my hands when my mind can't hold them anymore. I'll put them in your mind now, just to see what you'll do with it. Maybe your mind is a better home for them than mine is. And when the music swells, will you turn it into song, or will you leave it there as stagnant as it was before? And when the microphone feedback howls at my voice, who will you place the blame on? Will it be me, or the show, or the team, or the device itself carrying the weight of your disappointment? And when I tell you I am not a poet, will you believe me? Thank you. And my second poem today is titled Gender is a Storybook. Just as it sounds, it is a poem describing my own experience with gender as someone who considers himself to be non-binary and more masculine than I may appear. Gender is a storybook, a stringing tale of fiction strung against a soul. The details are fantasial, but the words themselves are real. Watercolored illustrations, hug your spirit close, tell you that their hues tell only the truth. Blue, pink, white, pink, blue. The shades of a storybook that are still in writing, still in their first drafts, still sketches, not pictures. Gender is as real as a fairy tale passed on from mothers' tongues to children young. And a generation later, that child will be gifted a watercolor paint set. They will illustrate for themselves in the same strokes, yellow, purple, white, black. What does it mean when our children grow old with the knowledge that everything they learned while they were small was a heaping pile of social lies, social constructs that managed to raise them nonetheless? Those lies, they showed them who they were, wrapped them in comfort on the darkest days and the brightest nights. My gender is a storybook. As I turn the pages I loved unknowingly, I am nostalgic for a childhood I never had. I yearn for the days where I simply adored the water-colored illustrations and the cursive letters which I could not yet read. I turn the pages backwards and I feel relief. I did what I needed to do. I made sense of the strange letters atop the art I've always loved. They remain as foreign as the language. They still do not make sense. The only difference now is that I have made sense of them for myself and myself only. Thank you.
Let's give one more round of applause for Ash. My goodness, you guys are amazing. Okay. All right, this next poet also goes to Boston Latin School, is on the Mayor's Youth Council, and their writing is influenced by the studying of birds. Let's give it up for Megan Lee.
The first poem I'm going to read is titled Albatrosses. 1. They stir in the tree across my bedroom window. I sit on the ledge as they call to each other through the sky. They are lovely. I always wanted wings, but I would not leave my hands behind. 2. A bird walks off a cliff, wings longer than you are tall. It doesn't fall. It hovers, silhouette against rising light. How isolated it seems, white back, black wings. Think of a gull, but much larger. Think of a gull the size of your mind. It drifts above the waves, time a fallen feather, not hours, days, months, years at sea. Sailors thought they carried lost souls. Kill an albatross, set one free. 3. We once thought albatrosses holy. We once carved flutes out of their vacant bones just to admire creation. I want to know that divinity too, to call like the birds outside my window before every dawn. Maybe, if I try hard enough, I will heave a sunrise from my throat too. In another life, I would have been an albatross. They sing and I know we both wonder what makes me human. 4. Some call a group of albatrosses a weight. If I were a bird, I would not need to sit and wonder. maybe if I try hard enough, the light will find itself. Around each of our necks, we carry a weight of them. 5. Sailors have long thought each albatross bears a soul. Why? Was it the bird's weight? Each time they shoot an albatross, who would bear them to eternity now? One day, when each of our hearts is on the scales, the feather of time will finally land. The ancient mariner cursed to drag the albatross he killed behind him, he knows. Humanity gives us each an albatross of our own, but they are dead now. We tie them to our necks to remind us. That's the first poem. The second one is titled Boston. They say you are a cradle of liberty. I know I should not believe them, standing on Faneuil Hall steps, rising from the snow-dusted ground built by backs. You accepted the slave trade, you auctioned people like property without apology, the shining city upon a hill. How can you explain away cowrie shells buried? Colonial slavery in the Latin school yard. After forgetting Richard and Hagar, you don't need to cover history with excellence. Relocating to Deer Island, land of the half-soon dead, say Massachusetts, say Nipmuc, say Mashpee-Wampanoag. Not the legacy of King Philip, say Metacom with me. English settlers selling them into slavery, forgetting the earlier trail of tears through Boston Harbor. Walking by Trinity Church, remembering Catholic school, I could have been knowingly left in danger by the church who left child molesters in power to cause more harm. I can't do justice to suffering. The city at not yet dawn, full of students migrating like Canada geese, to schools that are still not integrated, scarring from redlining, not treated. Maybe there's a reason you're called one of America's most racist cities. So proud of making way for ducklings that you forget gentrification. If the mallards had only been human, they could not have stayed to find happily ever afters. Every year, my birthday, during the Lilac Festival at Arboretum, I fall asleep to birds, to river and flock curled on the windowsill. The light is drowning the Charles during crew practice. A familiar routine swaths me in home, walking these streets to pray. The future will not be mint leaves after too many washes crumbling in my pockets. Not just rainbow pride flags rippling through bleaching summer light. I look for quinoquin along the Charles with boat shells. Every day, the boathouse has more dead. I stumble over the run-over body of mouse, still praying for time-lapse in reverse. I hope you, building the ship of Theseus in the Navy Yard, are still Boston. We'll still be replacing the rotting planks so they heal over. But never forget, we need to keep repairing and remembering. A restored ship is still the ship it was.
That was Megan, y'all. I think the name is escaping me, but there is a writer, maybe Eleanor Wilner, who says that the purpose of writing is to get as close to the bone as possible, right? And I feel like these poems are really getting close to the truth, you know? So thank you again. There's another saying in the youth spoken word community that's a call and response that's like, don't be nice. And then the audience responds, be necessary. But that feels very fitting. And we might try that out. Is that okay? Don't be nice. Okay, but you know, a little oomph in there. All right, I'm here to introduce the next poet who goes by the name of Anjalequa Birkett. She is a student at the John D. O'Brien School of Math and Science. She's originally from Roxbury but lives in Rosendale, and she believes that you can use poetry to find your voice. Show some love for Anjalequa, y'all.
Okay. Hi, y'all. My name is Anjalequa, and before I start, I wanted to say a little something real quick about who I am and what I am and what I write. The poems I'm going to read for you today, I did not write for just this audience or just the judges or just for the space of poetry. I wrote it for the person at work right now who's struggling to make ends meet, or the person walking in the hallways at school and just everything in their brain is going crazy, or even someone outside who feels this silence in them but has this roar, this fire that wants to be let out. I was that person. I was that person who didn't have, or didn't think that I had that roar, that I didn't have that fire. And I found it through my words, through my art, and I want to present it to you and to everyone around who may not be here, but will hear it and feel it, and will hopefully let that roar out. So this first poem is titled Unfinished. A little trigger warning. On Wednesday, January 19th, her last words were a sigh of relief and anticipation, hoping that the girls doing their makeup and gossiping wouldn't hear her slip away as she swallowed a handful of pills. Instant pain and dizziness, tight chest and nausea. She was sure this was death. She was sure this was success. She was sure her mother would follow her casket into the ground, and her father. She was sure the last thing on her face would be a broken smile and stray tears. But she found her fingertips screaming for a second chance, feet staggering upstairs past teachers and students unaware of her misery. Esophagus burning as she choked. I need help. On Tuesday, February 15th, 2022, her hands ripped open the wrapper to a bag of green tea and placed it in a cup with 2.5 tablespoons of sugar and a squeeze of lime. Hot water slowly coming to a boil as her eggs came to a bright yellow, green grapes and apple slices. This was morning, and this is survival. That's the first one. The second one is titled Before Van Gogh. Have you ever seen the stars? Those billions of balls of fire and gas, stubborn and persistent, dying years before they disappear. Have you ever seen the Milky Way? The holder of this world and many more in the swirl of its body brightness, the feature everyone talks about. Have you ever seen a hothead scream themselves into a black hole, or a beauty queen carry the greatest wonder in her tiara before she's even won? Have you ever seen the body of an ex-lover within the depths of the universe? Been able to trace their curves in the Great Dipper, their stretch mark shooting stars? have you ever seen the sunset with open arms, hoping, ready for the sky to fall back into you, its weight non-existent? Thank you.
Y'all, I don't know about you, but I'm enjoying this poetry. Let's just recognize very quickly how all of the poets that have spoken so far have this beautiful, unique, very distinct voice. Jesus. Anyways, all right, so our next poet goes to the Edward M. Kennedy Academy. They speak 3 different languages, and they say that writing is their way to honor cultures. Let's give it up for Yolanda Oliveira.
Hello. Oh, wait. I'm a little bit tiny for this, but okay. My first poem is called, oh my God. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. It's just reload. Thank you. Okay. I just lost my other poem, so I guess I'm just gonna read one. It's called. I did this last night. It was like, at the moment. It's called Immigrant Chronicle. It's a pretty quick poem. And yeah. Taking a leave is very hard. It's hard when you try to find reasons to stay, but there aren't any. There isn't a big deal that is keeping you from turning around and taking a leave. Everything is put up in the air, ripped, tossed, and left, but not forgotten. And when you look back, because I guarantee you will look back, many times, infinitely look back, the leave is a revolting remembrance. It gets more distasteful, it gets more repulsive, when realizing that leaving was best. And you would have chosen that over any other option 1,000,000 times in the course of 1,000,000 years. Because leaving somehow gave you a bigger piece of serenity, yet also leaving gave you a bigger piece of resentment. A true immigrant chronicle. Thank you.
Yolanda, y'all. This next poet coming to the stage also attends John D. O'Brien School of Math and Science. This poet was also on the mayor's youth council. This poet believes that you should use poetry as a platform. Show some love for the poet coming to the stage, Atticus Duck, y'all. Woo!
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? So, poem I have today is it's about the TD Garden. Sure, y'all know it. It's in the North End. I went to see a tennis match there just a month ago. So, hope y'all are ready for this. Flash. Spotlight on the center court, ready to play this famous sport. Marcus Smart knows the art. He always was point guard at heart. The crowd goes wild, whipped up and riled. He shoots, flies up high with angel boots. Swish. Thank you all.
All right. So last, but certainly not least, our final poet goes to Wellesley High School, is a super teen at Galvin Community Center, and believes that poetry should be used as an aid to mental health. Let's give it up for Maya McNeil.
All right. Good evening. Good afternoon. So I want to make note. I am not a super teen anymore, but I was. So I have 2 poems today, and the first one, before I start, this poem is called Anxiety, and then the next one I read is actually, I wrote that poem in that class, so maybe I should read the first one first. So the first one is Not Alone But By Myself in This Classroom, and the backstory of this is I transferred to a predominantly white school in the middle of the pandemic, and being black at an all-white school is not easy at all. And then the poem after that is what I wrote in that classroom. So the first one, Not Alone But By Myself in This Classroom. Stepping on a bus full of black folks that look like me, stepping off the bus in a room full of people who didn't look like me. It wasn't that I was intimidated, it was because I was the only one in the class that was black. I sat in the back of the classroom and didn't say a word. My lips were locked with a zipper and my tongue was held captive with chains I felt I couldn't unlock. I started to question myself and question my existence in that room, but it was only anxiety having these thoughts. How are they viewing you, looking at you? What do they think of you? When I sat in the chair, my bottom was glued to it, and if I got up, I probably would have collapsed. I was told to step into my power, to step into my truth, but how can I step into something when I don't have enough strength to do so? These kids probably don't think I speak, or they probably think I'm mute, but I didn't know how to turn off that mute button. Have you ever been in a room full of people and still feel alone? People around me having conversations, but to me it sounded like loud noises and loud crowds coming to attack me. So I wondered to myself, why is it that I come out here to get what they call better education? Well, because the suburban places offer more, so my mom wanted what was best for me. You see, my friends started to call me smarter. They said I was learning at a faster level with higher speed, but little did they know I felt dumb. I felt dumb and I felt like I didn't belong. I walk in a room with all eyes on me, you see. I choose to sit in the back of the classroom because anxiety tells me not to speak. And if I don't know the content, then don't say anything. But one thing these white people will never understand, that being a black girl in a predominantly white school is never easy. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now this poem, I wrote this poem in that class that I wrote that other poem in, and this is exactly how I felt. It's called Anxiety. Thoughts in my head, 1,000 thoughts, me drowning in my own thoughts, trying to find how to get back to the surface, but I can't swim and something keeps holding me back. It's okay, they say, it'll get better, they say, day by day, they say, but you say this but will never understand how I feel. I'm in a class with people who don't look like me, asked to introduce myself of what looks like simple tasks, but anxiety pulls my tongue back and freezes my body and tells me they don't care. My body stops moving and my eyes wander around the room, looking at each and every face, laughing with each other, happy, smiling to be here, but I'm 2.5 seconds away from asking to use the bathroom and not come back. Anxiety has become my worst enemy, but my best friend. My best friend because it's always here, but my enemy because it's always speaking down on me. When will it stop? Why can't I be normal? I ask myself each time anxiety decides to take over. Anxiety, you stop me from talking. I have created this people phobia that isn't a people phobia. It's just questioning their intentions that are scary. I feel like I have no one because when I have anxiety, I have the same reaction. But no, this is no anxiety anymore. This has become the voice in my head telling me I don't belong here. They don't care about me. I'm not good enough. I was one step away from conquering your anxiety, but you shut my lips lock.
You see, anxiety isn't always what it looks like on the outside, and the inside, anxiety is playing the worst game with your mind. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much to all of the poets, all of the poets who applied to this program, and for all of you for sharing your amazing words with us today. I'm still feeling a lot of them right now. Let's give one more round of applause to everyone who shared today. And now I'd like to invite all of the poets to come stand on the stage. And let's keep applauding them, yes. All right. So I'd like to recognize first our 3 Youth Poet Laureate finalists. And they are Fernando Medina, Anjalequa Birkett, Birkett, and Yolanda Oliveira. So as you all know, we can only have one Youth Poet Laureate, but we want to celebrate all of the finalists and semifinalists here with us today. I'm pleased to share that each youth poet will be receiving several books, including Alondra's debut collection of poetry with Clipped Wings, as well as a scholarship for a summer writing class at Grub Street. And we look forward to celebrating everyone who read today, just so amazed by all of your words and everything that you represent for the city. The Youth Poet Laureate will also receive a $2,000 honorarium each year and will publish a collection of poems while they're in their role. We encourage you to all stay connected with each other. We look forward to seeing you continue to share your poetry with Boston's arts community and with the city at large. So, without further ado, this is so nerve-wracking. Without further ado, I'm pleased to announce Boston's second Youth Poet Laureate is Anjalequa Birkett. Congratulations to Anjalequa, to all of you. I just can't say enough how amazing it is to even just work for the city and know that you're all doing what you do and bringing your talent and creativity. I'm so excited to hear more from you, as I know everybody else here is. So thank you one more time. Let's give a round of applause to everyone, and then we'll invite Anjalequa to read one last poem. Of course. Thank you all.
All right, give me a minute, please. Let's see. Let's go with this one. This one is titled, Long Since the Flower Has Governed. Gaia is the personification of earth and the ancestral mother of life. She used the mold of her body to give birth to Uranus, whom she bred above the land, plentifying it wishes and memories and stretching it for miles and miles, ending it at the head of Pontonus, whom she bred beneath the land, filling it with salt and changing reflections that glistened off of Tartarus, whom she bred in the heart of Uranus. Gaia single-handedly gave home and reverence to the vessels, to the gods and goddesses that had yet to touch her surface, but still showed worship because they understood the gift she had given them. To think a flower's body is the reason you are living, and yet you decide to kill her by dismembering and defiling her body for your own game, and blame it on the inherited mindset of those before you when those before you treated her like a patron. Artemis is the goddess of wild animals and hunting, chastity and childbirth, the embodiment of nourishment, the mistress of a bow and arrow on which she used to protect her trusted stag and loyal nymphs from beast upon beast, but bested she could not. For once a man tried to harm the woods and vegetation, she would turn them into a bear, an angry, thirstful visual metaphor for how men are. Slayed soon enough, she would give it to the forest to make the spring's harvest. For once a man asked to drink from her waters, not giving tongue to teeth of a serpent, she would drown him in the ocean in which she bathed. Call her combat a turn of phrase. Soon skinned and used to make elegant plates for the body she protected, giving her name, protectress of reaping. To think a flower's work is the reason you have food in your belly, and yet you decide to starve her by taking advantage of her chastity and forcing her mind to believe her stomach and hips are made for bearing children when her womb and curves were given to her of her own volition. Sappho, the 10th muse from the island of Lesbos, holding more power in the lyrics betwixt her thighs than that of a mediocre Elizabethan scenarist. Her poems turning into something more than words, they are a definition of feminine love and sensuality. An affair with Aphrodite is taught as man's biggest fantasy. Yet their moments of skin to skin was taking the complexity of appetite and cuddling it into an edible fruit. A half oasis of a book of moans, call that passionate intelligence, where her words ran over the island, ringing in the ear of future warriors, future Amazons who time and again fought for the lives of men. And yet, even with the flower's words being the reason you are protected, you silence her with your fist, trying to turn off the very song that's guaranteed victory. For a millennium, long since the flower has governed that the term woman has such little power to men, when women are the reason you are even able to hear this poem.
Please give it up again for all of these finalists. What was I gonna say? I was like, oh man, should you guys sit down? But honestly, it's kind of iconic to have all of you all up on the stage, supporting the Youth Poet Laureate and also being supported by, I hope this image continues for the next 2 years. Anjalequa, it's on you, you know? No. But thank you all so much for coming. Congratulations again. And then we'll see you at the book release, if not before. Poets, we want to get some pictures, and then we also have some citations from the city to give you all. And I also want to remind you that we will be closing out Alondra's current term on April 6th at the library. At the Commonwealth Salon in the library, April 6th, Alondra will be doing her closing reading as our inaugural laureate. So be sure to look out for that. And then we'll keep you posted about any other updates. So thank you all. Feel free to take photos.